Hi everyone, so this week we are talking about rape culture, and yeah, I'm going to put a massive trigger warning in front of this video as well because it is a highly triggering subject, and I found this really difficult to write myself, to write a script to this video and to know what to say, and it's just been incredibly painful, so this video will probably be quite painful and upsetting. So I was absolutely furious today when a woman came up to the Feminist Society stall that I was sitting on in Freshers' Fair and just completely ridiculed my assertions that we live in a rape culture, because we fucking do. We live in a rape culture. Like, a rape culture is a culture where it's normal for the police to treat rape victims and who come forward like absolute shit. A rape culture is a culture where most rapes go unreported because people know that the police are gonna react, you know, with misplaced blame and intrusive victim blaming behaviour. When I reported my rape to the police, I remember being sat in a rape crisis centre in the middle of fucking nowhere, miles away from home, in the middle of the night, being asked by the policewoman, well, what were you wearing, and were you flirting with him, and, you know, such other bullshit. And I was sat there answering, like, you know, quite, well, very fucking traumatised, and I was sat there answering it really truthfully and as much detail as I could, and then I suddenly just sort of snapped and realised, why the fuck is this relevant? What, just because I was wearing a short skirt and I was wearing heels, just because I kissed him before, just because at the point I was in a bed, that does not mean I consented to sex. At this point I snapped and I just burst into tears and started yelling at the policewoman, and she sort of apologised half-heartedly. You know, and the police continued to be really shitty to me throughout the rape case, the investigation. I hadn't told my mum the full story because I didn't want her to be any more upset than she already was. And, you know, when she took me, she drove me to make my statement with the police. They openly, after I'd made my statement, they openly discussed, you know, the details of my statement and confidential things in front of her. And when they came to my house to tell me that they were dropping the case as it was my word against his, they decided it was appropriate to say the following things. You know, it could have been more serious. You could have been gang raped. Or, I don't know who to believe, so if I don't know who to believe, how will a jury? And he was arrested in front of his parents, you know, and he had to have his genitals swabbed, and his friends were interviewed, so they know all about it, you know. Rape accusations have a stigma, you know. I don't give a shit, the man raped me. Am I meant to feel sorry for him? You know, and they then went on to lecture me about how I shouldn't have been flirting with this guy, and I'm sorry, but am I meant to treat every man that I meet in a club as if he's about to attack me? Like, I find that incredibly disrespectful to men, for a start. The really messed up thing about this is that this was the fucking police telling me these things, right? That's an established, highly powerful, highly esteemed organisation. When they can just sort of casually come out with this victim blaming awfulness, and that, you know, that's a part of how they deal with rape cases. This has a very powerful effect. Has a very powerful effect on how we perceive rape. For the police to shift the blame away from the rapist to the victim is sending an incredibly dangerous message. It says that, you know, they don't take rape seriously. It says that the rapists aren't totally at fault and they don't have to take full responsibility for their actions. And it says that the victims of rape have somehow brought this upon themselves. Society, you know, absorbs these messages and, you know, manifests itself through the way we navigate the awfulness that is rape. It means that we live in this highly dangerous rape culture, where, you know, she can just be asking for it. So obviously the whole thing has been incredibly traumatic for me, but sort of especially added trauma from the way that the police treated me. Essentially, it really fucked with my perception of what happened, and it sort of put like a huge amount of sort of feelings of guilt and shame on me for so long. I really had to really work hard to deal with, but you know, I am managing to deal with it, kind of thing. Like, I have been able to tackle it, and I think the only reason I have is because I've been able to surround myself with beautiful, amazing feminists, and, you know, people who are telling me that what happened to me was not my fault. And I think that's what we really need to like work on, is sort of eradicating this rape culture, by telling each other that, you know, it wasn't your fault what happened to you, and we're all here for you, even if the fucking police aren't, and we can work through this bullshit, and we can break down these messages and break down this god-awful rape culture. You know, we can all fight against victim blaming and slut shaming. We can do it. We just need to put a lot of effort in. Like, there are these, you know, the little things that we don't really sort of almost recognise sometimes of how it's, you know, victim blaming or slut shaming. You know, comments about what people are wearing, like saying that women shouldn't go out late at night or whatever, stuff like that. We need to sort of think more critically about it and tackle it, and always put the responsibility on the fucking rapist. And we really need to work on that. But you know, we can all do this together, and it's really important for you know, survivors and victims of rape and sexual assault that they know that everyone out there is rooting for them.